Can you all hear me? How is everyone doing? All good? How many of you lost money today in the markets? Any thoughts? Okay, so I think some of you also have your UPSC interviews scheduled. Don't worry about today's session. We will have one-on-one discussions regarding budget and the kind of questions you could be asked in the interviews in those one-on-one settings. Okay, if you want to stay in, stay in. But I don't think you know it will be a discussion today largely. There are a few trends and patterns that I've observed, and I may want to talk about that. But more than that, I will also love to hear your thoughts on how's it going. What are your thoughts? Today was supposed to be networking of nights and dames, but of course, that's not happening. But we can figure something out. But at least for today, that won't be the focus. But what's happening today is much more remarkable and special. Today is a very special day. Today is a day when minions of the government, they will get a new assignment to flood Twitter, to flood our newspapers, to flood digital media with just one narrative. What a masterstroke. I stumbled upon a news snippet, by the way. I'm not kidding. I stumbled upon this news snippet. Just a second. The headline was that it's a historic budget. Do you know why? The headline read it's because this budget makes Nirmala Ji the longest serving finance minister. What nonsense is this? One anchor was analyzing the color of her sari. What does that indicate? When she wears purple, when she wears white, when she wears red, it indicates something. Not kidding. This is what is happening. I can show you those snippets also. Anyone else stumbled upon such wonderful perspectives about today's budget? Yes, Devendra?
Yes, Naman. I just came across this thing that it's been 89 times the budget has been presented, but it's just once that it is being presented on the Sunday. So that is something I came across that on Sunday thing. It never was presented on the Sunday ever.
So when you don't have substance, you talk about optics. Yes, Jyoti, what about you? Thoughts?
The same thing. So the whole news was telling, even the Times now and NTV, and they're telling it is the first budget that was presented on Sunday, so it's going to be special. That is all that stuff about early Sunday.
Okay. Anything interesting that can make us laugh also? Anandita, anything new?
Sir, I think I read somewhere about the sari that she was wearing a kanji around this time, and last time she was wearing Madhubani to kind of speak to the states where there was going to be polls in that year. So,
Amin, what do you think? Any observations?
That same post, what Ananta saw, same post I have seen, sir.
So today I just have one purpose. My purpose is that whosoever attends today's masterclass, each one of you will make more money in life. That's going to happen in time to come, if and when you invest in markets. But more than that, you will be better able to decipher the nonsense that you will read starting tomorrow morning. Tomorrow onwards, many minions in a corporate, many minions in the government, they will write detailed articles across newspapers owned by Ambani ji and Adani ji, terming few things as masterstrokes. Not as evident, because now that's also a meme. Not everything can be a masterstroke. I do not read news. I don't watch those news. But many of you do, because you have to write UPSC. So the next 1 month, you all will have wonderful time reading newspaper. You all will smile, you all will chuckle, and you will have a wonderful time predicting the circus of India. And hopefully reading the news will also remind you of me. Yeah. Anyone who has problems, in being critical of the government, the ruling government, be honest, thinking, we should not criticize the government. We should not write critical answers in mains. We should not be critical of the government in the UPSC interviews. Anyone? Be honest. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, Mahesh.
Yes, sir. Recently, I have started a new venture, sir, in a textile outlet. But when I want to apply for any government schemes, it is not appropriate while going to banks. And however, I need to go SBI only in my hometown. They are asking only collateral. Unless even I applied for
Hold on. What's my
government scheme.
question?
What is the criticize do you have?
No. That's not the question. Being critical of the government, criticizing the government. Anything wrong with that? Is it anti-national to criticize the government? Yes, Lovisha.
Sir, I have no problem, but because when I'm in a group of friends in my college and we are having coffee, they are critical of me. They consider me now as an anti-national. So I have problem because they have problem with me when I speak those things. So I
Okay.
don't know what is the solution of it, whether I should make them join.
No need to join anyone. It's fine. In time to come, you will have better friends, Lovisha. But see, in my mind, the greatest service you can do to this country is when you speak truth to power. Many may think I'm writing UPSC exam, how can I criticize the government? By that logic, from tomorrow onwards, only watch 3 news channels. First by Sudhir Chaudhary, person who is being paid 15 crore of our tax money to run a useless program. Then there is Anjana Om Kashyap, whose net worth skyrocketed in just a few years. And then read Dainik Bhaskar, make detailed notes out of Dainik Bhaskar. Just think about this. How many UPSC toppers they advise you to read and follow these people that make diligent notes from Times Now debates? Morning, evening should end with Dainik Bhaskar. Anyone? Our constitution, it does not ask civil servants to be cheerleaders. Constitution, it mandates civil servants to be rational. Mandates civil servants to be constitutional. Can you all hear me well? Yes? Is audio quality also good? Because my mic sometimes doesn't work. Even if you were to write mains examination, what kind of questions do they ask? Go through that booklet. Critically examine, evaluate, analyze the consequences. If UPSC wanted you to, have this blind praise, it would say explain why every government decision is a masterstroke. They don't do it. So please understand, speaking truth to power, it is not a rebellion. It is a constitutional duty. It is a shame that many people say that, Naman, you're doing rebellious activities, being a true rebel. No, that's not rebellious. That's our duty. Sardar Patel ji, he never envisaged civil services to be built on this idea that's being promulgated these days. He envisaged civil services to be built on constitutional morality, accountability, checks and balances. A civil servant who cannot tolerate criticism, and there are many, that civil servant, he will never and ever serve the state. That civil servant will always fail the state. There are many popular civil servants. I think there's this guy, Nagarjuna something, not Gowda. He's sending defamation notices on Instagram these days. History has proved this time and again. Disasters never happen because everyone was critical. Disasters happen when everyone was silent. Every major disaster you read in history books, it always follows similar pattern. One person at top thinks that he is infallible, someone who cannot fail. And then there is data manipulation. Anyone heard of this new ranking? Responsible Nation Index. Anyone heard of it? You've not heard of it? Responsible Nation Index? Saurabh?
Yes, sir, I have heard of it. And this is the first time that many of our government officials were saying that they are now, so they were now, they are now ranking the Western nations based on criteria. And
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kshitij?
So I think this index has been created by some institution of the government itself, and the government of the Indian nation was placed in top 50 or top 30, I think.
Okay. What is this? I mean, they can potentially ask you a question around this. Indian government came up with a new ranking. In that ranking, India ranked itself 16th. This ranking is based on 4 pillars. These are ethical governance, social welfare, environmental responsibility, and global accountability. In that ranking, Netherlands and Finland, they are ranked lower than India. Finland, it is a country that has eradicated homelessness. There is free healthcare, free education, 100% literacy. Finland has PPP of over 60,000 US dollars. In that same ranking, India is ranked 16th, or India has ranked itself 16th. One of the most developed nation in the world, Japan, is ranked 38. New Zealand is 48. This is how and where our tax money is wasted. And then we wonder why people term us as clowns. Government of India is behaving like clowns. This is a country where our leaders are feeding us poisonous water. Indore, see what happened. Responsible governance. Our air is poisonous. 17 lakh trees were cut in Hasdeo for Adani's coal minings. We've destroyed 40% of our mangroves around Mumbai. We're changing definitions of Aravalis. Few videos went viral, and that's why it's on a halt for now. And this government is spending our money to rank itself more responsible than Finland, Japan. The world is not stupid. Few states could be in India. Diplomats, investors, multilateral institutions, they do not read WhatsApp forwards. When India ranks itself 16 in a self-created index, placing itself above countries that have objectively performed better in all those categories, be it governance, be it welfare systems, be it better environmental outcomes, it raises eyebrows. You lose credibility, and credibility is currency. The moment you start manufacturing self-praise, you signal 3 things to the international community. Number 1, you're insecure. Number two, and very dangerous, you're willing to manipulate data. Number three, you're not open to feedback. It's interesting that government created that report for us. We didn't read it. India's air is amongst the worst on earth. Smriti Irani went to Davos to breathe some fresh air. She said in one of the panels that air pollution is a global crisis. No. 9 of the world's 10 most polluted cities are in India. It's an Indian problem. Where she was speaking, no such issue in Switzerland, in US. UAE is a desert. Better air quality. Supposed to be one of the most polluted regions. Air pollution causes over 1.6 million premature deaths every year in India. That's official data. Our roads collapse weeks after inauguration. 10 bridges collapsed in just 15 days in Bihar. Real wages are stagnant. Youth unemployment remains highest amongst the G20. But look at our ranking. More than 50 million cases are pending in our courts. That's a judicial system. But what is India busy with? A young techie in Noida was murdered. Yuvraj. Because a minion in the government service, he did not want to offend his superior. 100 lakh crores were looted through GST in just 8 years. School bags, pencils, or notebooks, all of that were taxed. Because we created zombies and minions in this yes sir, yes madam culture. So we need to understand one thing, speaking truth to power. It is not rebellion. It is our constitutional duty. It is a shame that today people hold me accountable for my videos, but they don't hold elected leaders accountable who thrive on their taxes. Critical media, it improves quality of your judgment. UPSC is not testing whether you know what happened. Look at your mains paper. Just follow through on interviews. Many misfitters have appeared for interviews. I think Ananya has her interview tomorrow. UPSC will test not what you know or not what happened. It will test why something happened, who benefits, who are the stakeholders, who bears the cost, what alternatives exist. We need to think of unintended consequences, even if we read budget. We'll discuss that. Do you know what are these unintended consequences? Today, Nepal, Bhutan, they have trust issues with our currency. Why? Demonetization. It was never about destroying black money. We would be fools of highest order if we think that our politicians, they care about black money. If BJP really cared about black money, BJP would not allow Adani ji to route Mauritius money as an FDI to pump his stocks in Indian markets. If Modi ji really cared about black money, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksey, they would have been in India. If he cared about black money, PM Care Fund, it should have been under the purview of CAG, RTI. The reality is, demonetization was never about black money. It was about winning UP elections. Dhurandhar 2 will come, Geo Studios will sponsor it. And it may also show how demonetization destroyed Pakistan. And we will clap. But it will never show that how BJP's increased its seat share by more than 500% in just 5 years in UP. How it destroyed our MSMEs forever. It will never show how rupee became a global joke. I keep on saying, our rupee had depreciated in front of US dollars, AED, Singapore dollar. Check yourself. It's collapsed. It's depreciating with respect to Pakistani rupee also this year. Today, India needs officers with spine. Someone who can say, Madam, your ED rates. It could create fiscal stress in 3 years. Madam, let's solve for outcomes, not optics. None of you, let me say a very controversial statement, none of you is preparing to serve the government. We have been brainwashed at a massive scale. We think we are joining the civil services to serve the government. No, we join civil services to serve the constitution. We join civil services to serve people of India. This constitution will survive as long as citizens and officers, when they are informed, when they are skeptical, when they are courageous. And skepticism is good. Questioning should be appreciated. So for next 1 month, when you read the newspaper, read it with those fresh eyes. That's my purpose from today's masterclass. It's hardly masterclass. I think it's open for almost everyone. But yes, let me hear from you first. What are your thoughts on the budget? And please have your cameras on, as in when you raise your hands. Did you watch the budget? Have any kind of opinions on it? Yes, Adela?
Yeah, hi Naman, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the budget. It's like already the Indian stock market has been a bloody market. Currently, it has been dying for the past days and years, and today they have completely killed it. That was what I was thinking when I saw the entire budget.
Okay. Yash, what do you think?
I think instead of budget, it was much more technical to watch the markets or trade gold or silver.
Okay. Yes, Arpit, what are your thoughts?
It seems like they're just milking the economy. Just raise the STT charges on options and future trading, which is actually fueling the economy, giving the liquidity. And apart from it, rest everything is like just there's no election and all. That's
Okay.
why.
See, budget is not just about those headlines that you see. Those are headlines for our retail investors, the normal citizens. Anyone else with your unique perspective? Sandra, what do you think of the budget? Have you gone through it?
No, sir, I haven't gone through the entire thing. I just saw a document and I was just looking at all different sectors and all. They have introduced some new sectors for generating employment and all, like in sports and medical tourism. So I haven't gone through the details of it actually. But overall, there is a attempt to generate employment in different sectors.
Okay. Before I think we talk about budget, let's talk about economic survey. Budget was very fresh. May talk about it. Because economic survey, it's the thinking behind the budget. Why do you say that? Thinking behind the budget. What does it mean? Anyone? Economic survey of India. Anyone gone through it? Yes, Priyal?
Hello, sir. I think the surveys about the last fiscal year that they go through the datas and everything, and they sort of like set a benchmark on what the budget should be for the next year coming. So yeah, I think that's why that is necessary for the budgets.
Okay, today is not a UPSC class. Okay, we have specific UPSC classes. So you can be honest about your opinions. thinking behind the budget? Logically, economic survey tells us how government reads the economy. What does it mean? What is economic survey? Who will tell me that first? Do you all know what is economic survey? Yes, Vishali?
It is like a report card of government, like what they have done in last year.
Yeah. Very simple terms in economic survey, it's the government's annual report card of the economy. Who prepares it? Chief Economic Advisor. It is typically someone who has never launched a business, someone who has never taken any risk in life to launch a startup, deal with employees, deal with harassment of the government. They rely on interns to do all that thing. Someone who has never even registered a company. Someone who has never had any skin in the game. What does that mean? Skin in the game, it means when you are wrong, you pay the price. Anything wrong with it? With that idea? Do you like this idea? If you are wrong, you should pay the price. That's how it should be, no? In ancient Babylon, if a house collapsed, okay, if a house collapsed and it killed the owner, do you know what happened to the builder? That builder was put to death. That is skin in the game for the builder. If a house collapsed and killed the owner's son, then builder's son was to be killed. That's skin in the game. Just Google Code of Hammurabi. In ancient Babylon, under the Code of Hammurabi, the law was brutally clear. If a builder constructed a house, the house collapsed, killed the owner, builder will be put to death. Son, then son will be put to death. What is this? Just imagine how diligent would that builder be? It means if you design something, you must stand behind it with your life. Roman bridges, Roman roads, they are still standing today. Why? Have you ever asked this? Roman bridges, roads are still stand. Not because they had better technology, it was because they had better incentives. Because if those bridges collapsed, the way those bridges are collapsing in Bihar, those Roman engineers, they died with it. That is skin in the game. Do you like this idea? This quality, it is not optional. Quality is not survival. And see the results. Go to the parts of Roman Empire, you will see. Those structures are still surviving. Not just that, thriving. Anything wrong about this in India? If a government collector, if he sends his kids to private school, not a sarkari school, is there any skin in the game? If Piyush Goyal, our commerce minister, has a son, Dhruv Goyal, based in New York, with all his money and assets in US dollars, euros, will he care about falling Indian rupee? Any skin in the game? More the currency falls, better returns for him. It's anti-skin in the game. Piyush Goyal and his family, not just Piyush Goyal ji, look at his families also. They don't just invest in Indian markets. They have a very well diversified portfolio. Majority of assets in foreign backed currencies. He should cheer for falling rupee. Anti-skin in the game. Today's class is about asking basic questions, the toughest and the hardest thing to do. Because we get jumbled and mumbled with the headlines that we see. Dr. Jaishankar should face consequences of India's relations with the rest of the world. But does that happen? No. His son gets an employment with Observer Research Foundation. And when that happens, President of ORF starts behaving like India's new foreign minister. Just do one thing. Search ORF funding. Look at domestic funds, domestic donors, and foreign donors. You will see a list of Facebook, Meta. One company that invested in Pakistan, I think that Delphi Pakistan also invested here in ORF. Reliance. And this is why Samir Saran is more powerful than any IFS officer who became ambassador with merit. And this is why we had that chain from 2016 onwards, how India became dependent on US. There is no skin in the game. It's anti-skin in the game. So economic survey should be written by someone who has skin in the game or not. Budget should be presented by someone who has skin in the game. But do we have that? Because if the answer is no, then we will all face the consequences. Will anything happen if they fudge data? If they lie? Anything? Let me show you a very interesting video about this Office of Economic Advisor. This one is a previous one. Very funny creature. Let's look at him.
Per capita that India had in 1947, and now it's identical. So it was about 2,730 GDP per capita in 1947. In between, from 2,730, we brought it to $300 per capita by 1991. From 300 to now 2,700, 9 times increase in GDP per capita.
This video reminds me of a wonderful quote by Talib. Those with brains but no balls, they become mathematicians. Those with balls but no brain, they join the mafia. Those with no balls, no brains, they become chief economic advisors. And the person you just heard is India's former chief economic advisor. No wonder why Indians are leaving India at scale. How can you so conveniently ignore the difference between nominal and real economic growth? How can you casually forget about inflation, purchasing power parity, exchange rates? How can you forget about structural changes in the economy, international trade? Shit, 2024 was 83.93. On everyday basis, these people will become the mouthpieces for political parties, but never for our country. Of course, they will adorn the sleeves of nationalism because that's how they will sell their books and podcasts. But these people care only about one thing in life. So this video was made when I did not know about his books, the business he's doing with books. He had a different skin in the game. Anyone heard about him? No? Let me show you one news clipping. It's all out there in news. You don't even read newspapers. Union Bank faces heat over almost 8 crore book purchase. But what books were purchased? This book by our former chief economic advisor. One bank purchased almost 8 crore rupees of a book written by this man. Let me show you another one. Now, this is not an allegation because now Union Bank is admitting it. Union Bank admits ordering 2 lakh copies of K.V. Subramaniam's book, terming it as some lapse. This is something that we don't even know. These are the people at the helm of India's economic policy. Thoughts on this, anyone? And nothing will happen to him. As long as he can fudge data, as long as he can build some narrative to privately sell India, but publicly sell nationalism. Thoughts on K.V. Subramanian? You read his books, Economic Survey, with such pristine confidence. You can disagree with what I'm saying. Just I'm not like Modi ji. I will not lambast you. I will give you all the opportunity. Go on. Anyone? Thoughts? Any opinions of any kind? Yes, Madhurip?
Sir, I just remember that in one class we had a definition of taxation. He defined taxation as the glue between citizens and the government. I don't think he's that dumb, maybe.
Gaurav, what do you think?
Sir, I have my views about this year's economic survey. Like this year, they have used more jargons as compared to last year. Like this year, they use the term what they call strategic sovereignty, and one more in they were
Strategic
highlighting
sovereignty is
the
not a jargon, but okay.
sir, they were highlighting the risk associated issues, but they have not given any way forward. Okay, how we can overcome that.
Forget about solutions. Are they able to define problems? What is economic survey? It's in April had a point to make. Yeah, go on.
Sir, I have something to say about Giriraj Singh, sir. I think the whole budget was pointing at him that you need to do something for the manufacturing sector. I think it's all, he could be, blamed. I can
What him? Yeah,
vouch for that.
so
Like, sir.
why blame Nirmala ji, blame Giriraj Singh? Can you tell me the name of the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh or Madhya Pradesh? It's difficult. You know why? Because, of course, now they're in the news, but it's difficult because they were handpicked. They were not public mass leaders. Rekha Gupta, not a public mass leader. Difficult to manage a public mass leader. What's the reason why majority of our powerful ministers, they are Rajya Sabha nominees? Jaishankar ji, did he win any elections? Nirmala ji, finance, any elections? No. Not a public face. Can't even win elections. They are the ones deciding our policies. Multiple portfolios. But coming back to economic survey, so the point is, power is concentrated. Responsibility should also be concentrated. We can't diffuse it now. So economic survey is government's annual story of the economy. It explains what government's believes happened last year, why it happened, and what it thinks should happen next. It is not a balance sheet. It is an interpretation. Interpretation by someone who is on a payroll of the government. So anyone read through this year's economic survey and have any thoughts about it? Thoughts of any kind? Sandra, did you read the economic survey?
Yes, I just went through it quickly. One thing that stayed with me was how there was a suggestion to amend the RTA Act and dilute it further and give it a ministerial veto or something. So it is indicating towards what might be coming next. There might be another attempt to dilute the RTA Act further.
Okay. Ananya, I think I will not talk at length about budget right now, but I will do that in our one-on-one session today. But feel free to add in your thoughts if you have any.
No, sir. Actually, I was hoping to just hear your thoughts right now, and maybe we could discuss it later. That's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, you can relax today. If you want to stay in, stay in. But we'll have our one-on-one session in a few after the session. Okay, if you have thoughts, do chime in with your unfiltered opinions. Of course, I have not read the entire economic survey. It takes time. And I have not gone through the entire budget also yet. We'll discuss many of those things in detail in the Azad Parliament masterclasses. But the limited time I had, I observed some patterns. And today I want to discuss those patterns. Those patterns are important. And when you go through your own readings of these things, observe those patterns on your own. Let me show you one screenshot from the economic survey. Read through it and tell me your thoughts. It's just a screenshot from the document. Raise your hands if you have anything to add. Any observation? Happy is hard. Very happy. Mention India's status as the fastest growing major economy for the 4th consecutive year. It's a very definitive statement, no? What is the basis of this claim? What does that mean? How are you calculating it? Are exchange rates included or excluded? What's happening? I want to show you a very interesting video by our former finance secretary, Subhash Garg. Just hear him speak. And to those who invest in stock markets, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it once we come to budget. But let's hear his thoughts.
What is trickier to my mind, and which the economic survey has not touched at all directly, it has only touched indirectly, is that when we compare our growth globally, in the global context, or when the Prime Minister sets out the task that we will become the 3rd largest economy by 2029, or we'll become 5 trillion or 10 trillion kind of economy, we always mention that in the context of US dollar growth. So that is what we should also be looking at, that what is our US dollar growth for the current year. So in nominal terms, we grew at 8%. Dollar has appreciated, rupee has depreciated by 6.5%. So in dollar terms, actually, we have grown only at 1.5%. It's a very big irony to say that at 7.4%, we are one of the largest growing or growth economy in the world. But at 1.5% dollar growth, we are at one of the lowest or the least growing country in the world. That irony, I was thinking that the CA would explain in the economic survey, but he doesn't touch. He, in fact, makes, to my mind, a wrong kind of call, that rupee, despite its fundamentals, is suffering because of the global.
That's a different story that we want to blame others. And by the way, rupee depreciation is happening at a time when dollar is also depreciating. Thoughts on what he's saying? He makes a very simple but a very devastating point. In nominal terms, you can write, Indian economy grew roughly 8%. During the same period, I think he's being conservative. Rupee depreciated around what? 6.5% is what he's saying. When you convert India's GDP into dollars, that's the currency used for global comparison, if you want to do it. What's the net growth? 1.5%. If it's growing at only 1.5% dollar terms, then on what basis can we claim to be fastest growing major economy in the world? On what basis we are presenting our data? Of course, we use a lot of econometrics tools to come up with charts, hire a few interns. Yes, Arpit?
Yeah. The thing is, we have to make the apple-to-apple comparison. India is a growing economy; they have already grown, so there is no point of comparing at all first. And though they are comparing, also
today US
is
is growing
very
faster than India in dollar terms.
true.
Not even, and such a mammoth of an economy. See, we need to understand economy does not exist in isolation. If most of our growth disappears the moment we convert it into US dollars, then what are we seeing? That's what we're seeing. Is any change we're witnessing in our lives? Purchasing power is not rising. Economic leverage is not improving in any of our negotiations. We may sign many FTAs, but look at the terms and conditions of those FTAs. Who is benefiting from those FTAs? Our citizens are not becoming richer in global terms. 5-10% of Indians, they are becoming rich. It's openly said in the world abroad. What kind of consumption are we talking about in India? Consumption is restricted only to those rich people. This is exactly what Subhash Garg is saying, former finance secretary. In nominal terms, we grew at what, 8%? But look at rupee depreciation. Pakistan, let's assume Pakistan grew what, 15% in Pakistani rupees in 2024. But that story changes. Venezuela, I think Maduro said that Venezuelan economy grew what, 9% in 2024. But did that translate into higher living standards? Tomorrow, Kim Jong will come and say something. That's still not my concern. My concern is that this pattern of optics over substance. So today I want to talk about some patterns. Pattern one is this optics over substance. We care more about marketing. We do not care about core product. And that is devastating. Why? Byju's focus more on marketing. Valuations. What happened to that company? Crumbled. Happens. That's how you create bubbles. You have to focus on a core product. This example of Byju's could be there in case of India also in time to come. This optics of how we show to the world, ourselves to the world. It's good for politicians, but not for civil servants. Civil servants should not hide facts in footnotes. Economic survey is not written by politicians. It's written by highly trained economists. And these economists, they are at the helm of India's economy. What advice would they give? Economic survey is supposed to be an analytical tool to analyze things. It's not a confidence document. I think we have many paragraphs on chips and mobile phones. I think Subhash Garg spoke about that also in that piece. We have to stress test our assumptions, highlight the downside risks. You have to force hard conversations. That's the purpose of such documents. We are not cheerleaders all the time. Not a good habit. If reality is different, would my trust in the economy grow or weaken? Surveys like these become the intellectual foundations for the budget, for our fiscal choices, for policy justification. Let's look at this. This is from the budget. This is another pattern that I want to highlight. Any thoughts on this? It's very important. Not sure how much news will this get, but read through it. Thoughts on this? Some thoughts. It's from today's budget. It impacts all of us. It impacts all the retail investors. Yes, Mehul.
Yeah, I think this has been the primary thing which has led to the markets being down, I feel. The government says it wants to move the money away from speculative measures like futures and options. But I'm not really sure if it's gonna really do that as much.
What are your thoughts on this? What's the rationale given by the government?
I think it's somewhat to move the money away from speculative measures and maybe bring it to like more stable sources of yield like FDs and bonds.
Okay.
Because banks have been cribbing that equity mutual funds have been placed at a better tax advantage position than like FTs. And I read a article in Economic Times that SBI chief mentioned that they're struggling to get FDs and deposits because the government is giving preferential treatment to equity investments.
Do you think government is giving preferential treatments to equities, or has given any preferential treatment?
Compared to like FD, like for example, if I do an FD, I'm in a 30% slab. So I mean, there's really no point for me to do an FD or even invest in any debt mutual funds.
But is this for you? Do you engage in options trading in India?
No, I don't even understand what that means.
Yeah. Warren Buffett does this. Many high-end investors do this. I also do it. Many sane people do it. Warren Buffett can talk a lot about value investing, but he buys options. Why? Arpit?
Yeah, to hedge. From the second order thinking, I see this will freeze the liquidity. It will take the
This
money
will
out
destroy
from
India's capital markets in time to come. We need to understand one thing: option sellers, they are liquidity providers in the market. How? Because every option buyer, there must be a seller. Seller will take the risk. Seller will absorb volatility. It will provide depth to the order book. Without seller, there is no market. Tomorrow, if an extreme event happens, I think in economic survey they have mentioned that there could be a financial crisis, some chances of it. These people, they provide some cushion. And COVID happened, to any financial crash that happened in the past. Put selling, they actually provide cushion to the market. That's how you support the market. But if there is no counter liquidity from the buyer, sellers will just sell and run away. Money is mobile. I will take that money to New York or Dubai or Singapore. And then you will see a steep fall. Foreign investors and even large domestic investors, they are not like us. They will not complain. Our skins are in the game. We have to invest in India. That's the only country that we can invest in. Even if you take your money outside, you will be a tax resident of India. You'll pay taxes in India. But others, they have innovative ways to avoid the tax. There's a reason why Vinod Adani ji has a Cyprus passport, doesn't stay in India. They leave. They shut down strategies, they change strategies. US understands one thing very well. Capital markets are very critical infrastructure. They are not moral classrooms. I'm a grown-up individual. I know what is risk, what is not risk. Government should not tell me what is risk. And that is why many people sit in Dubai, Singapore, London and trade in US markets without these punitive transaction taxes. But here in India, we're killing it. Why would a big player come to India and invest in, let's say, Nifty 50? They are not like retail investors. They go to the market, invest, and they insure their money. How do they insure it? Only one way. Do you buy put options? And here we are putting crazy taxes on put options. What's the reason given by the government? It's risky. We want to safeguard people. Governments do not care about us. You're making options trading expensive, unpredictable. Policies can change. You're telling the global market that this market is hostile to risk management. Don't come here. And this is happening at a time when we are seeing record flights from India. It is astounding at one stage, one hand, we want foreign capital. We want India to be the global financial hub. We want deeper capital markets. On the other hand, we are coming up with these punitive measures. We can take our own decisions. We are grown-ups. Government should stop teaching us what is moral, what is ethical, what is risky, what is not risky. Don't you think it's funny that grown-up adults are being taught this in India? You may say whatever you want to call about Trump, but at least he's accountable for few things. Every time he talks about US markets. He has words and thoughts on the US dollar depreciating or appreciating. What are his thoughts on that? Our Prime Minister doesn't talk about it, about capital markets or USD or INR depreciation. No words, nothing. Astute silence. Silent tax that we are all paying of depreciating rupees. Why is this happening? Perhaps people who are in this, they don't understand what is options trading. Look at the background of civil servants in finance ministry advising. What's their work experience? Have they worked anywhere? Of course, some may not like this, but that's the reality. That's how we can select people. So one examination doesn't matter what's the background. And they advise the ministers. That's why we have such policies. Today, we are taught that options trading is risky. Options traders lose money. They lose money because you have taxed them to death. Real options trader, they sit in good jurisdictions and they trade heavily. And they make a lot of money. It's a side income for many in the US markets. Any thoughts on this pattern? Second pattern is what I've discussed. Pattern one was about the skin in the game. I'm happy to take your questions also if you have differing views. Yes, Vaishnavi?
It will reduce the portfolio, foreign portfolio investment, and also they are trying to reduce the hot money in the market.
If they wanted to reduce hard money in the market, then again, Adani ji would not be allowed from Mauritius to pump our money as a retail market. SEBI chief today the previous one. She herself engages in options trading a lot from Singapore. She and her husband, Madhavi Puri Butch. Is that Bilash?
Sir, I just read the PIB statement. They have mentioned that the cloud servicing providers are given tax holidays till 2047. I think they are manipulating a way to get more FDIs compared to
Okay,
FPIs.
now here I will talk about
So,
pattern 4. Okay, I'll take you there on why whatever PIB is saying should be taken with a huge grain of salt. Okay, let's come to pattern 3. Look at this. This is again a screenshot from the economic survey. In fact, let me not show you the screenshot. In fact, you can read this on your own. There's this title called Victim of Geopolitics and Strategic Power Gap. India is a victim. That's why we are seeing certain issues in India, from falling rupee to many things, because we are a victim of geopolitics. He's used that word, a highlighted sentence. Do you know today we are very lucky, or Modi ji is very lucky, and all of us should be very scared. Do you know why? Look at the crude oil price. It's amongst the lowest today. You can check it. I'm not making this up. You can look at US dollars. US dollars has depreciated by over 10%. Okay? You can again check this. And still Indian rupee is depreciating massively. It is in this scenario our rupee is tumbling. Now just imagine the opposite. What if dollar strengthens in time to come? What if crude oil becomes expensive in time to come? Can happen. What happens to INR in that case? And still we are being termed as victims of geopolitics. Few things are working in our favor. If I were to look at some facts, USD is depreciating, crude oil is at the lowest, and here we are again playing the victim card. Domestically, we have done that. Hindus were victims, Muslims are victims, Marathis are victims, Goans are victims. Everyone is victim in India. Now that language is being reflected in our economic survey also. If anyone is still thinking, rupee depreciation doesn't concern you, it has a massive cost for you. It's a shame that we are still not holding our government accountable on this matter. It's a silent tax that all of us are paying. Piyush Goyal ji is not paying. His son has a private equity fund in New York City. Jay Shankar ji's son lives in DC. In our case, that's not the case. Any thoughts on anyone on this before I talk about another interesting announcement from the budget? Yes, Nimrat?
Hi, sir. So, on your mentioning of rupee depreciation having consequences on us, uh, I just recently stumbled upon a conversation of our chief economic advisor, wherein this same question was put up to him, and he mentioned it does not affect you because until you are, spending your money within the country, because food prices are not rising, they are the same, and in fact they are decreasing. So it does not affect you as a common man in that sense. So that was the answer he gave, and really confused at this point now.
He said that? Economics, sir? Okay. And he may not be alone because Niti Ayog's vice chairman also said something similar. Rajiv Kumar. Any thoughts, anyone, on this? Yes, Kshitij?
So today the global economy is so interconnected. Even if I never visit any country outside India, or I don't directly buy a product from a foreign country, definitely the products which are available in India, they have many components which are imported from other countries. So somehow the effect of falling rupee is
Okay.
gonna come to me.
You know what's the
It's gonna
problem?
chase me.
My problem is not chief economic advisor. My problem would be the person taking his interview. I don't know who that person is because he should have asked, Sir, India imports huge quantities of LNG, coal for our power plants. Do you know how much coal we imported last year? India imported 240 million tons of coal. 1/4 of our coal that we consumed, despite being one of the largest coal producing nations, we still cannot meet our demand. If rupee weakens and coal is priced globally in dollars, what will happen to electricity? Will it go up? Will it go down? LNG imports, 30 billion cubic meters is what we imported. If half of our natural gas is imported and rupee weakens, what happens to electricity? What happens to industrial production? What happens to fertilizers? Fertilizer is the backbone of our food. India imports urea, DAP, potash, phosphates. From where? Ask chief economic advisor. Look at China. We import all that from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Morocco. We import potash from Canada. India imported 20 million tons of fertilizers in 2023. If fertilizers become expensive, what happens next? Food, vegetables, milk, rice, wheat, everything. And who pays for this? Not him. Just see where his sons and daughters live, study. Influencer who may take his interview, I don't know, I barely understands. Look at his background or her background. Half the media personnel taking the interviews, look at their degrees. What work have they done? India imported 77 billion worth of electronics in 2023. We imported our smartphones, laptops, servers, chips, displays, batteries, routers, medical electronics. The question is, if rupee weakens, what happens? Does a hospital MRI machine becomes cheaper or expensive? Just ask chief economic advisor. Fighter jets we import from France, submarines from Germany, missiles from Israel, helicopters from Russia, helicopters from US also. $20 billion we spent on defense imports, all paid for in dollars. If rupee weakens, what happens to national security? Does it weaken or does it become expensive? As a country, we're importing 88% of our oil, 50% of our natural gas, 25% of our coal, $75 billion of electronics, 20 million tons of fertilizers, billions worth of defense equipment, pharma, raw material from China, medical devices, industrial machinery, chemicals, solar panels, chips. I can go on and on. Copper, steel, gold, palm oil, palm oil. And still we could be convinced by someone that rupee fall is not a concern for us. It doesn't impact us. It's a marvel that we are living in such an age that we could be convinced. Still, we could be convinced. Can a country import all of this and celebrate a falling rupee? Not just look at the level of imports that we're importing. Are these imports elastic or inelastic? What's the difference between the two? Elastic versus inelastic. We export Indian laborers. We're signing labor migration agreements with many countries. That's elastic. They can hire different slaves from other parts of the world. Or AI could replace them. But what do we import? I can live without Mercedes Benz. I can live without my European vacation. But what about oil? What about electricity? What about natural gas? What about fertilizers, defense equipments? Anyone who still thinks that it's a marvel doesn't impact us, falling rupee, for a country like India, relying on inelastic imports. It's a shame that we in economics. I don't know if I've not gone through his statement, but it would be a shame if he said that. It's actually a shame. I'm just hearing your words and reacting to it. I don't know if he said that. I still trust. I hope he has not said that so casually. Nimrat, he said that?
Sir, I believe so because I did went through the interview.
Wow. MSMEs, we want to grow MSMEs. A weaker rupee makes imported capital goods that we rely on, the advanced machineries. It's very expensive. Delays modernization. And if he is able to convince people at mass on this, then time to come, I think 200 rupees for one USD. Yes, Vaishnavi?
Yes, they are trying to normalizing the hazard. Like weakening rupee is not beneficial for us. Uh, may I continue?
Yeah, continue.
Okay, because it will benefit us only if we are net exporter. But in case of India, we are net importer of goods and services, and there are also very important goods like energy, petroleum, and palm oil. You just said,
The
and
palm
it
oil is
will.
not important. I'm just giving an example of what level
Sorry,
of things
sorry.
we are importing.
Okay, the energy and petroleum, the
Palm oil is
crude oil.
disastrous for our
Yeah,
health.
yeah. And it will also affect the common people directly because that price will affect the common people. Like rising in petrol price will affect the common people because they are paying for that.
It's said all that. Yeah. Anything new that you want to add or question? I'm happy to address all your questions. Okay, don't be scared of asking questions. I'm glad Nimrat asked that question. It's a good question. Yes, Ananya?
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
So, adding on to what you said about elastic and inelastic demands, one thing which I came across was in the economic survey itself, the government has highlighted about a chance 10 to 20% there's a chance of a upcoming financial crisis, and if this downward push on the rupee it continues, then it's definitely going to be very disastrous for the
And we're also
economy.
killing our capital markets. So,
Definitely.
but I want someone to challenge me. Abhilash, what do you think?
So I'm just thinking, like, how is palm oil a disastrous for us? Because in Northeast, I guess most of us are like made to plan palm oil this with this one. In Northeast, most of us are made to plan palm oil. I mean, it's like government is putting new scheme in Northeast region.
I think people are stuck with palm oil. Palm oil was an example. And of course, we import palm oil also, but it was an example to the level of things that we're importing these days. Divyaman?
So actually, while going through the budget, the finance minister said that they reduced the fiscal deficit from 4.5% to 4.4%, somewhere around, and they're also reducing the debt to GDP growth, the debt to GDP percentage. And I thought that despite having all such imports and mammoth imports and the economies on the spite of crisis, how they have managed to reducing the fiscal deficit and debt to GDP ratio is decreasing. I don't know what they are referring to, what their base is.
Okay. That's a very valid question. Many investors are also asking the question. Foreign investors. And that's why I'll talk about the fourth pattern. Just a second. Yash.
Sir, supporting to what Nimrat said, not only that, the chief economic advisor openly said that it is the best time for the Indian rupee to fall because the global scenario are supporting it. The crude oil prices are limited geopolitically, the wars and all
See,
that.
listen, I don't know. I want economic advisor to, I would want to hear what he's saying because now these are, could be Chinese whispers, who knows? He said something, you interpreted something differently, and then you are suggesting, and then I'm reacting to it. But if he's saying all this, then it's a big question mark on what's happening. I'll still give him the benefit of doubt that I hope he has not said all that. I know about the vice chairman, he said all this. Vice chairman of the Niti Aayog, former one. Saurabh?
Sir, 3 4 days back, I was browsing through the newspaper. There I saw a senior RBI official was asked the question that this depreciating rupee is beneficial for us or not. Then his answer was that it is beneficial for our exports as US has imposed 25%, around 50% tariffs on us. Then it will make our exports more competitive. And on the lines of this EU India FTA, he was also answering on the lines of that this depreciating rupee is beneficial for us in the current global scenario, as it will make our exports more competitive and counter the Chinese and Southeast Asian nations.
Phenomenal question. And I'm glad someone asked him that question. But how did the news anchor, how did he respond to it? He agreed?
No, sir. I was reading through the newspaper.
Reading,
It
okay.
was also.
All right. It was
Yes.
one-way communication. Okay. Anyone who buys that argument? See, in just 12, 13 years, rupee plummeted around 50-60% against US dollars, 50-60% against UAE dirham, 60-65% against Singapore dollar. Now, reverse the thing. Did our exports rise in those 15 years? Between 2012 to 2024, that time also rupee weakened dramatically. After that, of course, it's a suicide. But in that phase also, it dramatically weakened. During the same time, giving the benefit of doubt to our country, India's share of global exports, what happened to it? Look at merchandise exports. Compare that number, I think 2012 it was 1.7%. 2023 it was 1.8%. Barely an increment. If a weaker rupee, if it truly boosted competitiveness, our global exports should have surged. No? By that logic? But it does not. Why? Because currency is not the foundation of competitiveness. Currency is only the final reflection of competitiveness. Real engines are different. What are those engines? What is manufacturing productivity? If a worker in India makes 20 units a day and a worker in China makes 30 units a day, will rupee magically weakening will help India to produce more? How much output can a worker, a machine, or a factory produce in a given amount of time? That is also important. If a factory in India takes 3 hours to produce what a factory in China produces in 1 hour, no amount of rupee depreciation can fix it. Can rupee depreciation make Indian factories faster, smarter, more reliable? Just look at the data compare India with Vietnam. Forget about China. Compare India with Bangladesh in value of goods produced per worker per year. In Bangladesh, it was $12,000. India was $8,500. Vietnam was $21,000. China was $31,000. India is producing 1/4 of what China produced with the same labor. Can you depreciate your way out of low productivity? Let's just see RBI, what? RBI head or whosoever, senior officer from RBI saying, giving these arguments. We should ask ourselves, why is our productivity so low? Look at infrastructure to begin with. In 1994, India and China, they were almost similar. 30 years later, China's GDP per capita is 5 times higher. Why? What happened? China built an infra of AI for manufacturing, semiconductors. What infra did we build? We spent a lot of money. Of course, in GDP equation, it will show as an expenditure. But then see, look at the bridges that are collapsing. Just assume that you take a loan, construct your own house, and that house collapses in 1 week. Was it productive? And China was focusing on infra for AI, manufacturing, semiconductors. You're focusing on WhatsApp forwards. Hatred across languages, caste, religion. Sitting prime minister of a country is saying out loud, mutton, masjid, Mangal Sutra. That's the public discourse that we're having. If you think about it, starting points were similar. But in 30 years, China turned sleepy villages into world-class cities. Go to Shenzhen. Loving your country does not mean staying silent. It means raising your voice when things go wrong. That's how nations develop. Where is the money going? Collect all the tax, but in 4 years, 170 bridges collapsed in India. And we are seeing that live. Siwan, Araria, Kishanganj, Madhubani. Last budget was all about Bihar. What happened? How was that money used? How is Vietnam able to beat us without dropping its currency? If a weak currency automatically creates export success, why did Vietnam, a country 28 times smaller than India, beat us without collapsing its currency? Vietnamese dong did not collapse the way Indian currency collapsed. So anyone else who thinks like that RBI, and these are the authors writing on Hindu and Indian Express. These are the public intellectuals of India these days. Anyone? Any thoughts of any kind? I'm saying this time and again, I'm happy to be countered. Would love to be wrong, but in this case, I'm not. We're seeing what's happening to our country. Yes, Lavish, and please have your camera on. Aman, what's your question?
Yeah, yes, sir. So adding to what one of your point, like China started SEZ establishment way after our, like we have started the construction for SEZ, special economic zones, in around 1960 or 70, like in Kanla. But after that, we have not like ramped that thing. And but in the meantime, 25, 30 years, China had established thousands of SEZs, and we are still like not progressed so much compared to that.
Today, we are celebrating a lot about those EU deals, all the FTAs that we're signing. But when Vietnam signs those FTAs, you know what Vietnam is exporting these days? Chip components, phone parts, textile inputs, electronic modules. And just look what India is exporting. Rice, petroleum products, primary goods largely. FTAs are important as long as they're signed diligently. You need to protect your domestic industries, expand your market, export market, eliminate unfair duties, lock in those long-term economic securities, secure your position in the global supply chains. No country will sign FTA out of friendships. It's all strategy. Mother of all deals. Nonsense. Again, optics. What's the reason when US-China trade war began, factories they went to Vietnam, not India? Why? Inconsistent policy. Vietnam has benefited from the textile trade. Bangladesh has done so. Even if we were to catch up, we cannot catch up so easily because they have long-term contracts, supply chain, infra. But our textile minister was busy somewhere else. Jhatka mutton. Girraj Singh. In fact, this is one very critical example that I think I spoke about this in one of the Azad Parliament class. Before I do that, anything else? Shri?
Sir, I think I just want to add on with the China and India gap. I think we have directly came to service sector, I think so. Manufacturing, we didn't focus a lot on
Yeah,
manufacturing.
that's where I want to talk about. See, just pick your. Do you all use Apple phone? Anyone uses Apple phone or smartphone? Inside that smartphone, you will see a processor, chip. You will see a display. You will see memory storage, camera sensors, battery sensors, circuit board. Just ask yourself where all this is made. You know, some fabs, TSMC in Taiwan, chips, US, display from China, South Korea. Your DRAM memory from Samsung, South Korean companies. Flash storages in Japan. Your camera module, Japan. Sensors, Germany. Glass, it's not in India. How many of the critical components are designed and manufactured in India? The honest answer is 0. We are doing final assembly using parts made in Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, China, Vietnam, Europe, US. Assembly is not useless. Assembly also creates jobs. It builds capabilities. But if you look at the value chain, assembly is the last one. It's the lowest margin step. Nirmalaji loves margin, right? What is a margin? Mohit?
Sir, the value of the work which is done in manufacturing process. For example, as you said that the assembly can.
So let's assume you sell phone for $80,000 rupees. Your total cost is 60,000. Your margin is 20,000. Okay, now that 20,000 profit is what margin, that is what will fund your R&D, new factories, innovation, global expansion, shareholder value, workers training. Margin is powerful. It's the future growth. And today, no one in India wants to say this out loud. Assembly that we are doing in India, for which we are again showing so much of optics, it has the lowest margin. Why? Because it captures the least value in the supply chain. Assembling parts is very easy in comparison to doing all those high-end value stuff. Taiwan takes 25 to 30% profits for their chip A series. South Korea will take 15% of profits for the display. Japan will take another 10% of profits for DRAM memory. Japan will come again for camera modules. Then you have glass, so on and so forth. Apple will take some profits. What will India get through assembly? Less than 1%. That is it. What kind of work are we doing? And this is the value add. Today we are celebrating this also. Apple's profits last year were more than the revenues of entire Indian smartphone market put together. Real money does not lie in assembling things. Real money lies in patents, chip designs, camera technology, semiconductor process nodes. These are created by engineers, not assemblers. Assembly can be done anywhere. I know this is very hard pill to swallow, but it can be done anywhere. The day India becomes costly, complex, assembly will move to Vietnam, Indonesia, Mexico, Thailand, anywhere. And that's why those who are just selling assembly and labor will never have good negotiating power in signing FTA. Assembly follows the cheapest labor. The day we do not need labor, technology will replace the assembly. India cannot say, go to US and say, pay us more because of assembly. No. But Taiwan can demand things. Because the work that they're doing requires PhDs, semiconductor expertise, advanced infrastructure, scientific R&D. The work that we are doing requires low wages, low specialization, low training. And that is why margins follow the skill, and nothing wrong with that. If assembly was a high margin business, China would be ruling over it. China is now investing billions of dollars in chips, EVs, AI, green technology, aerospace, robotics. Because China knows idiots, they follow the low margin poverty cycle. I think you all know the China's Tesla story also, how that worked out. When Tesla entered Beijing, China said, you will not just assemble here. You will transfer technology, build supply chain, and source components locally. In 3 years, China built an entire EV ecosystem. China wants to capture high margin value. Sane people, sane leaders would want to focus on high value margin capture. Anyone having confusion on this assembly? Because it's very critical. We all should know about this. In time to come, we will become civil servants, politicians, and leaders. You should talk about these things. If you have confusion, I'm happy to address it. Anyone? Yes, Vaishnavi?
Asian tigers and Japan have started their growth by this only, like assembling things in 1960s and 70s.
Yeah, that's how you start.
but
China did that, but China
Huh.
moved beyond it. They didn't
So
celebrate
our
assembling.
yes.
To give you more example about assembling, let's assume that what I think if that USA, that Apple headquarters, USA owns the restaurant. They design the menu. They create the recipes. They set the prices. They control the brand. And they take home 70% of profits. Okay. Taiwan comes in. Taiwan is the master chef. They will cook the main dish. Series A chip. People come to that restaurant because of that dish. Without Taiwan, restaurant will shut down. That's why they will get the second highest salary, the real margin. Japan is also important in this story. They will make camera, memory chips, precision sensors. They're the specialist chefs. They will cook some good desserts. China will also add some value. But now, where is India in this? You may be peeling onion or cutting potatoes. That can be done by anyone. And time to come, the way AI is moving, the robotics is performing, you could be replaced. So, will you have any negotiating power? It's 100% photo ops. You cannot become a world class restaurant by peeling onions for someone else. Yes.
So, sir, I completely concur with your analysis here. And adding on to that, there is this one. I mean, I was reading about the trust initiative which occurred between US and India. So the basic focus for that was that there should be a, it's a basically bilateral treaty between India and the US where critical supply chains for rare earth materials was to be secured among recycling and all that. So after reading between the lines, I checked the PIB also, which provided detailed information on that, and applying basic logical conjectures according to me, and happy to be countered. The major benefit is going to the US because this might be termed as a bilateral relation, but bilateral treaty, but ultimately the critical infrastructure which is going to be secured is like India is not going to benefit from that. India is not going to procure many rare earth minerals, and even if we are going to do that, the application of those rare earths are, not that paramount in our industries. And even there was heavy emphasis on recycling. So I also read one report, one independent publisher. They were talking about a research article which stated that there is a classic chicken egg problem. So in order to recycle the rare earths, you have to have a lot of basically products out there which have those rare earths, which is currently not the situation. So this particular provision within the trust initiative is also, not that beneficial for about 15-20 more years. So, we were gloating about it since the past 2-3 years, but it's not that beneficial if we see it from India's perspective. Industries are not developed that much.
Okay. I have like 9 more minutes, but I want to come back to the budget today because I can go on and on in terms of what the chief economic advisor is saying or RBI governor is saying. Read this news and tell me your thoughts on this. This is an announcement today from the budget. Budget is a signal, okay? Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in Sunday's budget 2026 speech announced that capital gains tax exemption on SGBs will only be available to investors who subscribe to the original issue and hold the same till maturity. If you buy SGBs in the market, you will pay full tax on capital gains when the bond is redeemed. This is from 1st April 2026. Now tell me your thoughts on this. Anyone? It's okay if you do not understand the core of it. Yes, Ritich?
So to me, it seems to be completely contradictory to the idea of sovereign gold bond itself, because that this bond was brought into control control the import of physical gold. So now this will definitely, you know, uh, it's about the credibility of the government.
Okay, very important
Contrary
point. Credibility of the government. More than the outcome, I care more about the credibility of the government. Mehul, what do you think?
Yeah, similar lines. I mean, I bought so SGBs in primary market, so I'm happy or rather less affected. But yeah, I mean, they can backtrack on anything. Like at the time of issuing it, they will say yeah, it's tax free no matter when you buy and hold it until maturity or whatever, and then later on
So what Mehul
retrospectively
is saying is
change.
extremely important, by the way. The word he used is they can backtrack anything.
Yeah.
And that's very concerning. Why? When these bonds were originally issued, government made a promise. The capital gains on redemption will be exempt from tax. That was not a footnote anywhere. That was a core selling point. There was no ambiguous language. People invested in it. It was sovereign backed, sovereign. It was tax efficient. That was the marketing pitch. People trusted government's word. What did that government do today? You're rewriting rules after the transaction has already happened. And this is devastating. Trust is the foundational principle. After this announcement, will you ever trust the government on anything? Perhaps it's so normalized these days to, by the RBI governor and chief economic advisor to talk nonsense in podcasts. You buy something, rules changed. Rules at the time of issuance cannot be changed after money is raised. Once trust is broken, everything else collapses. Because if this government can change these rules later, it can change anything. Many say SGBs, it's a gold product. No, it is a contract. One party is citizens, the other party is the sovereign. And yet sovereign has unilaterally altered the terms after the issuance. And that should send a chilling effect, a chilling signal to every citizen of this country. As a foreign investor, I would be an idiot to invest in Indian markets. Because no model can hedge it. Government forget about becoming a rule maker or holding onto the contract. Government is becoming rule breaker. If government can change these rules, reinterpret the exemption process and promises, change terms after the funds are raised, then will you trust the government when the next time they are raising money? Logically speaking, cost of capital should increase for India in time to come. Your borrowing cost for India should rise. Less people will participate. Why? Because there is political risk in investing in these markets. Today, when Pakistan has to raise money, it has to pay a premium for this. And time to come, India will also pay a premium because of such nonsense. Government will end up paying more to raise the same money. And who will pay? Adani ji will not pay. Taxpayers will pay. They will foot in the bill. This is exactly how governments lose credibility. Did anyone force government to issue SGBs with tax exemptions? No one forced government. No one forced them to market them that way. That was a choice that government took. But today, when fiscal pressures rose, they're breaking the contract. It's a theft, open theft. And nothing will happen. That's what I say. They're looking into our eyes. They're killing us, stealing money from us, breaking contract right in front of us on the floor of the parliament. And we are not able to do anything. Those who speak, they are brought down instead. I agree it was a lunacy from the governments on government's behalf also to come up with SGBs at that time when countries were holding on to gold. Singapore was buying gold. China was buying gold at that time. Why is all this happening? Because there is no skin in the game. If I run a company and I break my promise to the investors, what happens? My reputation will collapse. My cost of capital will rise. My valuations will suffer. That is market discipline. But when government today is looking into your eyes, breaking all the rules, killing you, stealing money from you, what happens? They continue to win elections. There has to be some personal cost. There has to be some accountability. And that is why I think it makes sense to distrust any government-backed instrument. That is why in time to come, people will move into hard assets, not financial assets. You would want to value the core gold that you can hold. And that is also problematic because the gold that you hold has no productive value. It's a hedge against the government. You don't trust the government, that's why you're holding onto that gold. And India is not a closed economy. India imports energy, technology, capital goods. India needs stable capital flows, long-term investors' confidence, a credible policy environment. But what this budget offers, basis the pattern that I see, I will look at this budget as an investor. Should I trust the government or not? It's expensive for me to hedge my money. It's expensive for me to invest. And even if I take the risk, tomorrow government can change the contract. So with this idea in mind, watch through and read through the newspaper starting tomorrow. So whenever you smile and whenever you can detect the bullshit in those Hindu articles, Indian Express articles, send me an email. What are your thoughts? That will make your readings much more fun and engaging. Thoughts, anyone? Before we call it off. Yes, Devendra.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to understand that why government, I mean, the government is aware about the kind of the disaster they are doing with the economy. So, I mean, I was just thinking on the lines of one of the public administration concept, the lateral entry of the specialist in the government. So, like currently, the advisor of the governments are like IS officers or but whoever was sitting in the uh, uh, with the politicians who are advising them. But the entry of the specialist can bring much more impact to considering the kind of the issues that it can create economically as well. I mean, what's your say on it?
Okay. Now my thoughts have dramatically changed on this, by the way. Any thoughts, anyone, on this? Ananya, what are your thoughts on this lateral entry?
So I believe at the higher level, it does make sense because given the world we live in, technology is changing at a very fast pace, and civil servants generally are not trained for a particular domain, be it AI or deep tech,
No,
manufacturing.
at the GS
At
level,
the
you can take specialized courses. And many of the diplomats, they have to train and they become experts in time to come in certain domains. Yeah.
So I agree, but I still feel that if we can have a collaborative model with the private sector, so we can imbibe practices from them, which will increase our efficiency, increase our productivity and output. So
Got it.
maybe we can benchmark with them through this lateral entry scheme.
Now tell me one thing, not to you, Ananya, to all the people here. I'll just give you one example. So I was a strong proponent of lateral entry in the past. But now the problem is that system will function in a country that values talent, that doesn't value nepotism. In India, how was it? How did it function? Amber Dubey was hired as JS, Civil Aviations, for 3 years. Lateral entrant, directly. 3 years later, took a sabbatical. Now he's the CEO of Adani Ports. Minister of Civil Aviations, who did he work for? Adani ji. Adil Zanul Bhai came in as a lateral entrant, not even sure about his citizenship. He's the chairman of Network 18. Headed the Capacity Building Commission of India. In QCI, he ended up setting up informal consulting arms within the government, PMO and elsewhere. He was a money man. Lateral entry, in a way, provides, is in India, it's at least providing these examples. Get it access for Adani's and Ambani's to control the government. Many serving IRS officers resigning to join Ambani's conglomerates. What happens to steel frame? It's supposed to be steel frame. A lateral entrant hired by the government, by the ministers, by political backing. Can they ever question? Can they ever say no to the minister? Because as a civil servant recruited through UPSC, you have certain safeguards, constitutional safeguards. Firing is not easy. They cannot randomly fire you. At best, they can suspend you. At best. Who will ask the hard questions to this government? We had a lateral entrant, chief economic advisor before this, running a book scam. You get 3 years, you build great contacts, and your public office is being used for private gains. That's definition of corruption. When you use public office for private gains, that's corruption. In US, we have the spoils system. In India, to become an ambassador, you have got to go through the IFS route. Of course, there are some exceptions where you nominate ambassadors. In time to come, what's stopping the BJP to start RSS services? All the members of RSS go on to become JS, additional secretaries. SEBI chairman before this was lateral entrant. Destroyed the capital markets, ran away to Singapore. Still no accountability. Why? Because Adani backed her. She managed Adani's money. It's all out there in the open. Not even a conspiracy theory. At least there are some, whether we like it or not, there are some offices, some positions where there is some level of credibility attached. UPSC, there is some credibility attached. At least if you write your prelims, clear it, write your mains, clear it, apply for interviews. That may not be ideal, but still, on your own, you are able to achieve something. From lower class to middle class to at least you're able to uplift your life. And work on matters fearlessly. I still have the way it functioned in India. the lateral entry system, it's very questionable. Results are not good. Like I said, today is not a UPSC class. We can be honest. No need to be diplomatic. Civil aviation's JS becoming CEO of Adani Airports should be a concern. Who did he work for during his tenure? Yeah, again, not making this up. You can Google it, figure out the name, and look at his background. In any sane country, this should have been a matter of great debate. Yes, someone?
Sir, can these lateral entrants, when they leave the position, can they use these government data for their own like profit?
That's again, they should not. Private office, public office, there has to be distinction. You cannot use public office for private gains. Of course, we will have some law around cooling off period of 1 year. And again, you also know how that pans out. For 1 year, you cannot take any assignment. Any other question? Anyone? Okay, with this, we wrap up. Malika?
Sorry, I am not able to open my camera. I am not in a place where I can. I'm really sorry for that. And sir, I was thinking on I'm deviating from lateral entry wala topic. I am going towards the challenge in if money depreciates, if our currency is depreciating, it could be a positive thing. So as a not a expert, as a simple person, if I see this, so and a very very simply thinking around it, I'm saying it like if a country or a as an individual, if I'm investing on innovation, then my growth might not be that much at that time itself, if I say. And even if I refer a name, Richard Hoffman also says that if countries,
Reid
if they
Hoffman is saying
invest.
this.
Richard Hoffman.
Richard
No,
Hoffman is
no,
saying
no.
this.
No, not this. He is not saying this. What I'm going to say what I'm going to now address that. So basically, sir, I am just saying that if a country doesn't invest in innovation, it is going to be stable after a long run.
Stable.
If
You are saying this, or Richard Hoffman is saying this.
Richard Hoffman is also saying this, sir.
Richard Hoffman is saying that if country does not invest in innovation, it remains stable. Are you sure?
So might be I'm not might be so basically only if a country invests in innovation, it will not it will not grow after a certain point of time. If we do not if we do not have a space of anything entering new, we will not evolve. That is my argument. Basic, even if I'm not correct with my words. So if then I come to area in education, then if we see how much are we investing in research, and I as a student in social science institute, firstly I'm an observant like how much we allow now. If a student wants to do Dalit studies, if a student wants to research on the areas which are not conquered, and then when we come to CUET PG, if I just take a case of a simple social science institute, which is Tata Institute of Social Sciences, the process used to be different and the class used to be different. In my classroom, I had a student coming from a lower socioeconomic background, from a different age, like a 50-year-old was in classroom, a 20-year-old was in classroom. Now in a social science institute, I have a person sitting for the same exam and going to a different, there are various engineering institutes also. Or what kind of way are we going towards? If we even say that we are focusing more on innovating or evolving and not on growth. Like, last time a student also said that we are not China, we are India, we are a democracy in which people's opinion we take and then we go forward and we grow slow, but we grow steady. But even that argument fails here. Like, if I'm able to correctly put my thoughts, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, many statements that you said are broad, so can be contested. But okay, thanks for saying it out. Makes sense. Anyone else? Any thoughts on today's budget session? Because it was about around looking at patterns. You may pick and choose some headlines, titles. It's irrelevant. You need to understand the broader pattern spaces which you will then analyze things. Who is consuming things? What kind of expenditures we're undertaking? How productive are those expenditures? What's happening to our net exports? Yes, Yash? You have like 3 to 4 more minutes, and then I have to call it off because I think Ananya has her interview tomorrow. I need to talk to her also. Go on, Yash.
Sir, I would like to have your views on it. What actually is or will be our markets or our actual capital markets will be heading towards? Because if you see the foreign investors are already selling, the promoters are already blocking in their profits because of the rich valuation which the market was providing at that time. So I think it has been overvalued and now it is getting some downside as well. And you said the point which
See, I think one thing I want to say this out loud. See, stock markets is not a country. Countries follow different patterns in different frame of times. So a capital markets could backfire, but country can grow. And perhaps government wants to move in that direction. Who knows? But as an investor, all I can say is that you're massively screwed if you are invested in Indian markets for the long haul. And that's okay. You took the risk, but the way things are panning out, this is the reality. And even if we get decent returns from the Indian markets, rupee depreciation will take care of the rest. And like I said, we are very lucky. Crude oil is at a lower price. US dollar is also depreciating. Just think what all could happen when crude oil, the price increases over there, or US dollar strengthens. See what all could happen. So if you are heavily invested in India, I would advise you to diversify your assets. Hold on to real assets. Okay, because the Indian debt will also rise. Like I said, cost to capital should rise now. We don't even hold on to our contracts. Yes, Nandan?
Yes, sir. I also want to ask a question on the similar lines of stocks. Recently, in the past few days, two companies like Adani and Reliance, I've invested in those. So that thing is of the stocks of those companies have been falling very rapidly and also more today. So I'm not seeing any structural anomaly in their business, but still that their stocks are falling. I'm like very curious to know why that is happening, even though they have very good relations with the government and consumer sentiment is like very high for them.
See, all the companies, they grow. What do you mean when they grow? When Meta grows or when Apple grows, they're growing geographically also. You acquire new markets. Just ask yourself, is Adani ji growing? How much can you loot from India? There has to be a limit to it. Adani ji cannot grow and now loot in US. Won't be allowed. Companies, they grow by finding out new markets, diversifying their product strategies. What does Ambani ji sell to global markets? Is there any monopoly? Is there any? It's only Indian markets, and they have used it all there to enrich their multiple generations. It's a fundamental question that I'm asking. Meta is investing in AI. It's investing in certain themes. But where are Ambani's and Adani's investing? Another, you had a point to add? You raised your hand also.
Sir, I wanted to, so in the highlights, I saw that there is, so they had made a column of what's cheaper and what's now more expensive. They had put foreign education in what's cheaper. I don't understand how that can be possible given our currency is depreciating. So I just wanted to know your
A foreign could be anything, no? We can go to Nepal. We can go to Bangladesh, Iran. Look at the currency. That's why I don't even read newspaper these days. It's so general, foreign education. Okay. Anything that's not Indian is foreign. Yes, Vaishnavi?
I want to make another point. Like, I think it's a bit different from today's discussion. Like, if everyone knows that about the main problem of economy or AQI, and also
And by the way, to
government
all those
also.
who are invested in stock market, don't stress too much. I think the market will be sideways. It's already at the bottom in a way. So hold in for longer. Don't sell your assets. If you're invested in Indian assets, it's a long-term investment. Something similar happened in China also. So don't stress. Okay. Things will improve. Yes, go on, Vaishnavi.
Everyone know about the real problems like economy and AQI.
No, you're wrong.
Government also knows
Everyone
that.
does not know.
Uh, okay, but
Not even
citizens know
one
that. But
person, not citizens know.
so Delhi people.
Not Delhi people, Bangalore people, that doesn't matter. If you go and say out your views in public, you're termed as anti-national. Do they know that? Handful of people are talking. People don't know. People up until today, many of you were also made to believe that rupee depreciation is good. RBI governor is saying that. This is one of your talks. Chief economic advisor is spreading lies in podcasts. That's a wrong way to start. People don't know. Shri?
Sir, as we are discussing about the newspapers and the lies, victimization, everything, is there anything relatively good source we can
Azad
compare or
Parliament.
study?
Okay.
Sure.
I'm being honest. See, you need to read at least one newspaper. So I think Indian Express is fine. Hindu is much better, I think.
Okay.
But I think you should attend Azad Parliament to better get grasp of things. You know, when you read newspaper, you should chuckle, you should smile. Whenever I pick up any newspaper, I'm smiling all the time. Okay, and it's a very fun activity because I travel a lot. I also tend to pick up newspapers in Switzerland or let's say UAE and other parts of the world. Just compare that newspaper to the Indian newspapers. It's very different. You see, you to even look at the economy, just go to Switzerland and go to any part of Bihar. You look at the banners and you will see where is economy heading. Go to UP, Bihar, Delhi, anywhere. It's all civil services, UPSC, SI, sub inspector. That's the economy. What innovation? Government exams. That's where our youth is focused on. It's not their fault also. That's the only way to uplift your life. How else can you do it? No opportunities. Running a startup is not easy in a country like India. You're taxed on your revenues 18% at one go. And then, of course, randomly ED raids, bank freezing, licenses. Of course, we can come up with a new report of the way we just came up, ease of doing business. But that does not reflect the realities. Yes, Nandan?
No, sir, I don't have a question. I just will lower my.
Raise your hand. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I wish you all the very best. If you have anything to add and say about the session today, if if you liked it, then let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can speak out loud if you want. Otherwise, you can also email us. Anyone wants to share their thoughts? Okay. Take care. Enjoy your day. Good luck. And you can write about the bad stuff also. If you did not like anything, just send us an email. Allows us to improve. I'm open to feedback. I like the economic survey.